Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse podcast, and I am on site here in New Jersey, my hometown, at the Element Logic trade show today. And this morning, I'm going to be joined by Robbie Moss from Vuzix, and we're going to talk a little bit about this vision technology that we see on our other friend here. I don't know, Robbie, does this have
I don't think
does this
you
guy have a name? No, no name.
come
Okay,
up with something.
we'll come up with a name by the end of the day today. Yeah. But Robbie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to sit down with you and learn a little bit more about this vision technology. But give us a brief overview of Vuzix and what Vuzix is all about for people that aren't familiar.
Yeah, Vuzix has been around for almost 30 years, since late 90s. And we're a maker of heads-up displays and smart glasses,
Okay.
and have done various iterations of different types of heads-up displays, and moving more toward, sort of the true glasses form factor smart glasses as well. You'll see that in the future, but
Sure.
we make waveguides that go on the glasses. We manufacture the heads-up displays all in our headquarters in Rochester.
Okay.
And also recently, we've folded in our Movient division into Vuzix Solutions. So now you have a one-stop shop to be able to deploy smart glasses, do software on smart glasses, and take care of your projects for warehousing or other types of implementations.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned this has been around since the 90s, right? So
Well, the company has,
the
yes.
company,
So
okay.
yeah, if you go way back, the early iterations of this is the M400 that we have here.
Okay.
Early iterations of this type of form factor for heads-up displays, and then through the years, just developing the process of creating waveguides and different types of technology for smart glasses.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit about maybe, because I think it's interesting because we've seen, I guess from a consumer perspective, we've seen some iterations of like smart glasses, right,
Yeah.
come out, and
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about like how the evolution of this technology has come to, I guess, what we see right here today.
Yeah. So just to point out, this is our workhorse. This is the M400. These are deployed globally in warehouse environments or manufacturing or different other types of environments for inspection, maintenance, things like that.
Sure.
And then this is our LX1 that's coming out in the first quarter of next year to be deployed in
Ooh,
production.
so this isn't out yet.
No, this isn't out. This is a prototype.
is-
Yeah. This
This
is
is brand new stuff.
still tuning it a little bit.
Yeah.
This is what you would call an engineering validation prototype.
Okay.
And so, but we are able to run our software on it now.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that. We're kind of going through the testing. But this is the ruggedized version of essentially the M400. So the ability to have a little bit more stable base for it, a longer battery life that's this head worn as well. But similar heads-up display using Android 15. So there's a lot of capability we can bring into the functionality using Android 15. Gives us more of a play in the AI, we believe.
Okay.
Lot of storage on this device. This is an Android device essentially. So you've got
Really?
128
Okay.
gig of storage on the device. So we've got a lot to work with there. And just to go through some of the specs, since we're on this, good for negative 20 degrees, so cooler or freezer environment if
Oh, wow.
you're doing
Okay.
distribution.
Yeah.
Also 12 megapixel images, 60 frames per second video if you're doing something like that for remote support, or if you're,
Oh, wow.
as we're using the camera to scan barcodes, things like that, but that becomes important for how we're taking that data in.
Interesting. Yeah, I see. This is a camera on the front. I
Yes,
guess. Okay.
exactly.
Interesting. And I love that it can go down to negative 20 in
Yeah.
the freezer, right? Because especially when you talk about, keeping your hands kind of
Yeah.
protected, like it
Yeah.
becomes a challenge. You're trying to use a device and you got gloves on and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about kind of some of the contrast from using like the traditional all the way to, I guess, like the brick on the stick, right? Type of RF
Right.
gun to voice to now to vision. So talk to us a little bit about like how do you make that switch as an operation,
Right.
and what does that entail?
Right. So one of the first things we try to do, so I mentioned Vuzix Solutions before, and we were
Yeah.
previously Movient as a wholly owned subsidiary. And our whole thing, and we talked about this a little bit before in our
Sure.
previous discussions, but our big thing is user experience. So we want to be able, we would want to come on site, kind of take a look at your process, have an understanding of the data, have an understanding of the process flow, And that can be for using our software on a handheld, and that may be a start if you're customer journey and you're not ready. If you're on a journey and you're not ready for smart glasses yet, there's a lot of change management that's involved actually
Sure.
for getting people to use it.
Yeah.
If you haven't deployed voice or something like that, and you want to you could actually start with a handheld if you don't have that in place, or we could put our software on handhelds you have deployed. And then you go through a proof of concept phase potentially if that's needed for your organization. You get into an integrated pilot where we would look at how would we integrate with the back-end systems, whether that's the WMS or an ERP, or even a maintenance system. If you think about something like that, we can do all those integrations with our software. And again, you have that one-stop shop where you have somebody to talk to about user experience, you have somebody to talk to about deployment, and you have somebody to talk to about implementation in your warehouse environment. We have all that in one shop.
Interesting. So you can you deal in handhelds too, it sounds like.
Yeah, we have a history.
Okay.
So it's interesting
Yeah.
because Movient, prior to becoming Vuzix Solutions, we have a history operating on handhelds and integrating with systems like SAP. So for ECC or
Gotcha.
EWM, their warehouse
Yeah, sure.
implementation. And we've done that all on handhelds. So if you think about say a Zebra scanner or something like that, we've deployed there. And so one of the things we had to do ourselves was think about how do we take all that data and give it to the user in a head-worn device, whether that's a heads-up display or true glasses form factor, and only give them the information they need when they need it. Because if our first thought was, hey, we got this head-worn device, heads-up display, we can give them a lot of data that we normally put on a handheld. Well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking about user experience and you're thinking about giving somebody something better than voice, so vision plus voice is an enhancement,
Okay.
then you only want to you don't want to distract them. You want to show them the right information at the right time. So kind of our whole logistics, the way we think about logistics all the time, right? But this is how you deploy for users in this environment here, like we're here in the warehouse. And so we put a lot of thought into that, and in the UI, we want to really pare it down and not do a lot of eye candy. Eye candy is good for if you're presenting it's in the boardroom.
Yeah.
When you get on the floor, you need
the information.
You need the information. You need it fast. You need it crisp, and you don't want to confuse the user. And so, one of the things we're finding as we're deploying too is that change management is huge. So you got to be early in the process and say, okay, how do we use this? Get feedback from the users on the floor and build that into how you're deploying. We have a really interesting take on that because we have a low-code development environment called Mobilium Studio.
Okay.
And that gives us the flexibility to be able to adjust on the fly almost. So if we're doing a deployment, say we come on for a proof of concept, we're on the warehouse floor, we can take feedback from users in day one, fix it overnight. Actually, we've done this recently, and then the next day they get a whole new experience.
Interesting.
And we can push that to the devices, so we can go very fast for proof of concept or even demos.
Interesting. I love that, to be able to take that feedback from the floor and then quickly kind of reiterate and adjust to that. I think that's super important and really, really valuable, I can imagine as well. So I guess now to clarify, so when we look at a unit like this or the one that's coming out soon, that's it, right? Is there any other thing that's attached to it or a scanner or anything like that, or it's just totally hands-free?
It's totally hands-free and eyes up. Now, if you wanted to, we can attach peripherals like a ring scanner or some other type of device, or if you wanted to attach maybe a AirPods type device or something for additional hearing or whatever. But no, hands-free, eyes up, the ability to use the camera to scan things like barcodes, to take pictures, to take video. One of the big things that we deploy this for is remote support. So if you're thinking about maintenance, if you think about we're here at an automation trade show, right?
Yeah.
And so you're implementing automation in the warehouse, and you've got a lot of equipment, and you got to keep that equipment up and running.
Sure.
Because of the speed that everybody has to operate now. Remote support for certain types of equipment is very important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see that being a huge advantage, especially when you have like multiple facilities, right? And you don't have support maybe at each one that you need that technical support to be able to do that. So Talk to us too a little bit about, how are you leveraging AI within this, and how does that kind of take this device to the next level?
Yeah, so currently we're using a little bit of machine learning on the device.
Okay.
Just a small model where we can scan any type of barcode. It helps us, gather the frame. As we're gathering information with the camera, it helps us do things like uh, take an image and post that and pick the right images and things like that. But really to scan barcodes. So we got a small model that does that.
Yeah.
Looking forward, the way we're looking at it is you're going to be able to run small models at the edge on the device, right, offline, and that's going to be key because latency would be a big issue if you didn't.
Yeah.
If you're trying to run AI and you're connected to Wi-Fi and you're trying to do all this stuff, it could be an issue. I don't know if I want to say it's definitely an issue, but it could be.
Yeah.
So the way we want to look at this is be able to put small models on the device. The big thing is training. So how do you train the model to do things like image recognition and things like that? That's where the big expense is and the big time to deploy. But I think over the next year, we're gonna, those things are gonna be coming. This device is ready for that.
Okay.
This device, other devices that we have coming as well. We have a development platform called Ultralight Pro. That's more of a true glasses form factor. I think we'll probably get into that as we're talking about consumer type
Sure.
smart glasses. But the ability to have be able to deploy that model, to be able to use it on the floor. And I think what will happen is you'll eventually train it to almost be a coach.
Okay.
So you could do some different things. You wouldn't always be deterministic about how you go through the workflow. So the thing that we build in Vuzix Solutions is guided workflows, and that can be for any workflow in the warehouse: picking, packing, shipping, cycle count, whatever you want. I mentioned earlier we focus on the user experience, but we're building that workflow to work on the device, whether it's fully online or completely offline. So I think eventually what we'll see is the ability to almost coach the worker in any situation where they could, and then have that orchestration. And it's a big word we were talking about before,
Yeah, yeah,
and you hear this a lot. Orchestration, what does it mean?
Mhm.
Well, the ability to take the data that you're gathering from each worker, and then how do you figure out how to make things happen on the floor in a cohesive way?
Yeah.
I think all those things are going to happen in the next year, couple of years, and you'll see people with these devices that are fully running AI on the device.
Interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting to see kind of that evolution a little bit, and how you're going to be able to enable that, and having the device that is already enabled to do that. It'd be very interesting to see, what people come up with and how they can,
Yeah.
then you can utilize this. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned the change management aspects, right? And when we look at something like this, right, we talked about kind of what's the traditional, right? The traditional is a scan gun or a ring scanner or some voice, right? And this is a little different, right, than a warehouse worker would be used to utilizing. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about, how does it work from kind of like a comfort level, and even, I'm a glasses
Yeah.
wearer, right? So obviously, like, this model seems appealing to me
Yep.
because it's not going to go over my glasses, or
Right.
I have to get different glasses or anything. So tell us a little bit about how does that kind of switch work, and how does it feel from, I guess, from like a physical perspective?
Yeah. So this one, so the model I have here, I have some lensless frames, which we always use for demos. But this model could actually go on a headband just like this.
Okay.
So this is not the most comfortable lensless frame, but we use it for demos and things like that. So from a comfort level, it's similar to any voice picking that you would use
Like
in
a headset.
warehouse, like a headset. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, this one's a little more stable. You could wear this the entire shift,
Hmm.
and it's not going to be a problem. The big thing is getting used to using the camera, getting
Yeah.
accustomed to using the camera. And so when you start out, you have to think about, and this is where we try to come in with user experience, and where you don't have to think about it. So we want to get that feedback from users, and it's pretty quick. So within just a few shifts, we've seen workers become accustomed to it, especially if you're in a voice picking environment or something like that.
Yeah.
They become accustomed to it, and then they start saying, okay, well, I get to do all these other things. I have the ability, the functionality that I can do things like take images, or I don't have to hear as much, right? So if you're thinking about always going back and forth with a voice dialogue,
Yeah.
you're having to listen to a lot, remember a lot, and do other things. In some cases, what we've done is just put in the ability to call up a status, and you can see it on the screen real quick. You can look at it, see what I've got, and go from there.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very interesting because I love the idea that you know, it's hands-free and as you said, eyes up,
Yeah.
which I think is cool too.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to just have that information in front of you instead of, you know, when you think about a handheld or something, so you put it down and then you forget like, oh, how many was I supposed to
Yeah, yeah.
pick? And you got to pick it back up. That's time wasted
Yeah.
essentially, right? So
Yeah.
so there's a huge kind of efficiency gain I can imagine there. So it's very interesting to see this, and I'm looking forward to. We're gonna do a little demo of this later too. So I'm looking forward to seeing it in action for sure. But if people are interested in learning more about Vuzix and exploring this option for their operations, what's the best way to do that?
Go to Vuzix.com. We have a product finder that you can go through, a questionnaire that asks you about your operation. It'll tell you which product is probably best for your operation. And in a warehouse environment, these are probably the best products now.
Yeah.
I mentioned the development platform for the smart glasses, true smart glasses form factor that's coming next year, or it's actually, it's available, but deploying about the same time as the LX1 or maybe a little bit later next year. That's called the Ultralight Pro. Those are all that information is on the website.
All right, fantastic. And we'll definitely put that information in the show notes and at thenewwarehouse.com. And I'm curious, let me know in the comments, what would you do with this device and what applications would you come up with? So Robbie, thank you so much for joining me here. And I can't wait to see this thing in action.
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, The New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you